This is the M60A1. In this video, we're kind of going to talk about the modules and stuff for this vehicle, kind of the actual abilities and stuff, and kind of what I run on it. So, for the actual abilities on this vehicle, the ultimate is the same as the M60A2. It's the Napalm Strike. It's an alright ultimate. I think the windup is a little bit too long in my eyes, but when you actually do land it, it does kind of feel pretty satisfying to actually do damage with it. So I wouldn't say it's that bad of an ultimate in all honesty. I just find it hard to use it sometimes just because I don't know when to actually use it. The passive is Relentless, so if you have enough HP, so if you're at like 600 or 700 HP and you take a shot that would have done 800 HP, you will survive with 1% of your HP, so 1 hit point left, and be able to continue fighting. This allows you to kind of maybe heal up or kill the enemy that you're fighting whenever this passive does proc. For the first ability is the Suppressive Fire. It's a very slow firing 50 cal machine gun, and it kind of just slows the enemy, really. It doesn't really do all that much damage. I actually don't really like this ability. It's kind of bad, in all honesty. It takes too long to proc the slow, and again, because it's slow firing and doesn't last for that long, I think it's 10 seconds, it means it maybe does 200 damage if you can fully get it off, but otherwise it's kind of just bad. The bread and butter of this vehicle is the charge ability. This allows you to do massive damage to vehicles. It reduces the actual ram damage that you take and increases the coefficient that the enemy vehicles take. It's a pretty good ability overall. I actually like it. It kind of makes you think of how to play this vehicle in a different way than other vehicles because you're kind of aiming for those charges. And I like that aspect of the vehicle, but there's definitely a lot of downsides to this vehicle in all honesty. Let's go over the modules real quick. In the first module slot, I run the Suppressive Fire slowed status increase just to hopefully slow someone a little bit sooner, but in all honesty, either or. So one thing that I will say is this vehicle does not have the greatest energy management. So actually taking a reduction on the energy cost for this is not a bad option, and probably something I would recommend over the actual Suppressive Fire slowed status because this is just so low that it makes almost no difference. For the second ability mod slot, I use, again, charge energy cost reduction. This is just, again, energy management isn't the greatest on this vehicle, so I'm just trying to offset it as much as I can. The boost mode acceleration is 9.6%. It's alright. I don't think it's worth enough to actually take it over energy reduction so that you can have better energy management on this vehicle. But that's my opinion. The mobility mod, I just go the forward speed just because I want to be that much faster when I'm using my charge. The faster I am, the more damage I'll do, kind of thing. The whole traverse and boost energy mode volume. So my problem with the boost energy mode volume is it doesn't matter about your charge count or your charge distance. It only matters when you're actually boosting the vehicle. I will say this vehicle's whole traverse and turret traverse are extremely, extremely slow. So increasing that just a little bit does help out this vehicle a lot. But I don't know if it's worth more over just the increase in speed. But then again, these numbers are super, super low in all honesty. So take it as you will. This is probably the better option. I just run this. For the fourth slot, I run the 15% hull and traverse speed in boost mode. Again, the only reason why is because the traverse and the whole traverse and the turret traverse are super kind of shoddy in this vehicle. So if I'm boosting, I can hopefully whip the vehicle around just a little bit faster. But let's kind of talk about everything. Boost mode energy volume doesn't really matter. Forward speed, reverse speed, and engine power. Again, these are such low numbers that I wouldn't really take this module over anything else. Turret traverse speed and boost mode acceleration. So for me, I don't know why, but the vehicle's turret traverse feels like it's always slowed. So I actually don't think this is a bad module option if you're not wanting to spend a lot of tech on some of the other modules and you don't see the real benefit in the other modules. Forward speed and reverse speed, I would just take it over this module. Immune to grease. Not super often that you run into grease in this vehicle. Unless you're running against specifically like ALVTs, or if you find yourself fighting a lot of ALVTs, I will say I would take it for the turret traverse speed, not so much the immunity to grease. The engine power reduction, again, it's such a low enough value that I think the turret traverse speed increase offsets it enough, and this is a fine module to take. I would generally actually recommend this module over just the booster, in all honesty, because the booster does have quite a decent amount of negatives. Fire resistance -10% and shock resistance -10% are kind of a little, they're not super big deal, because the things that apply shock generally apply instantly, and the things that apply fire resistance or fire status generally apply instantly, other than things like the Bradley or Object 287 when it hits you, or the ALVT hitting your fuel tank. But regardless, the ALVT hitting your fuel tank is going to instantly set you on fire anyways, so I don't really see too much of a drawback for the fire resistance negative, in all honesty. Engine power, I just like it. This is actually quite a big boost and kind of just lets me get up to top speed a little bit faster. Legendary, there's no passive on this legendary, which is a little bit disappointing. The boost mode regeneration rate, I do not care enough on this vehicle. This is kind of a vehicle. The vehicle feels slow to begin with, and it doesn't really feel that much faster when you're boosting. The only time you actually really feel fast is when you're using the charge ability. The forward speed increase, I think this is actually kind of beneficial, in the sense that normally when you're driving this vehicle, you're only going to be going around 52 to 53 kilometers an hour. So being able to get up to 62 kilometers an hour is pretty good for the vehicle, but I don't know if the drawbacks are worth it, right? So the turret traverse speed, also another bonus, but the boost mode energy volume decrease, I honestly don't care enough. But the biggest thing for me is it drops your hit points all the way to 2340. That's just too much. You're putting yourself at less HP than an HSTVL. It's not worth it. Like, that module just kind of isn't worth it just for this reduction alone, in my opinion. I think some other kind of reduction to offset it would have been better than a reduction of hit points. But that's just my opinion. I don't say that this module is actually super bad, because it does help you feel a little bit more like a light tank and more of a flanker. But I just wish the base vehicle was actually faster and didn't have to have the augment from the legendary in order to feel as fast as it should. The toughness module, so I run the dealing over 800 ramming damage. You recover 30% of your total HP for the next 3 seconds. This also has the added benefit of increasing my turret traverse speed, so it makes it a little bit easier for getting my gun on target. And dealing 800 ramming damage actually is super easy to do, in all honesty. You just hit someone with a charge, or if you're not even charging, if you hit a Leo, any of the Leos, or a Martyr, or an AMX 10RC, you'll do about 800 damage, and you'll be able to heal off of that. Feature fish here, I'd noticed with this module, it does have a unique mechanic that it actually does store the 800 ramming damage, so you don't have to do 800 ram damage in one ram. This is across multiple rams, so if you deal 400 damage here in one ram and then 400 in your next ram, you will also get the healing benefit. Just a side tidbit that I wanted to let you guys know. Another good option for me is the ramming machine, which protects against all ramming damage when moving at 30 kilometers an hour. I think this is very beneficial when you're facing a lot of defenders and stuff like that, so that you don't have to worry about, oh, well, I'm going to take a bunch of damage if I ram this FV. Well, no, you're now going over 30 kilometers an hour. Ram whoever the hell you want. The 20% HP recovery from all sources, it's alright. I don't think, again, the fire resistance and radiation resistance increases are worth enough, in the sense that, fire resistance, you're still going to get one shot in the fuel tank by an ALVT and get set on fire. You're still going to get instantly set on fire by things like napalm from a T62, the napalm from your ultimate, even the ATGM from the M60A2. Not worth it in my opinion. And the slow resistance, that's too much. I just don't actually think anything should really give reduction on slow resistance with how strong and powerful slow is right now. So just for that reason, I wouldn't even recommend this. Fire resistance increases for resistance across the line. Only one that I care about is the slow resistance increase, just to kind of help mitigate getting slowed. but there's a lot of things that can just instantly slow you anyways, so I don't know if it's really worth it in the end. Hit points increase, not a bad one to take. Just not my preferential, just over like the ramming heal or stuff like that. This makes me feel tankier than this 7% hit points could ever do, and I just want to take this, in all honesty. This is just a waste of credits, in my opinion, or a waste of tech. Firepower mod. So I've kind of been trying out all these mods, and you see that I was running the canister shell, which actually isn't the worst, I should say, but that's just because you're going to get close up to people anyways with your charge. So, I mean, it's alright. Again, I'm not a huge fan of canister, but here's just a clip of me doing full damage with the canister round, just to kind of show you the highlights of the canister on this. So I feel like the canister on this vehicle actually does more damage than the crits do on this vehicle, which kind of offset it, and especially with a 3.3 second reload, 3.36, it's not the worst option. First option, I would actually just save your tech. Turret traverse speed, not the worst option, but I, again, wouldn't take it over some of the other modules. Reload time, minus 12.2, so 3.69 second reload. I would actually take this module over this module, just for the sense that you get a 15% reduction on your reload time, so a 3.5 second reload. And it does come with a debuff of the reticle size while you're moving, but I really haven't found that to affect me all that much. And then you also get the added benefit of when you're below 30% hit points, you actually get even less reduction on your reload time. So it's about a 3.1 second reload when you're below 30% HP. Changes the shell type to an HE. I mean, at that point, I feel like you should just play the M60A2 if you really want HE all that much. I mean, I guess it helps you with comboing people to make sure that they can't move. But in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. You're just too many fall-offs for you to really take this. Again, canister round, you know my opinion. And yeah, so those are kind of the modules. For equipment, I run the 550 hit points when I'm using the module that allows me to heal off of rams. So this just kind of makes me feel tankier. Rebuild kit is a perfectly fine one for this vehicle as well. Either of these two options are pretty good. I accidentally was running failsafe circuit, so again, I still don't recommend this equipment at all. Recovery protocol removes, status effects and stuff like that. Not a bad option. I feel like this vehicle might actually be one of the few ones that actually kind of can use this, just because I feel like it gets hit by so many status effects all the time, or maybe I just notice it so much in this vehicle compared to a lot of other vehicles, so maybe it's an option, but usually I would just go recovery protocol overall. Or whole reinforcement kit. You do forego the ability to cleanse things like fire status and stuff like that, but that 700 temporary hit points should be enough to offset it even when you do get set on fire. So like if you get set on fire, use this, and you should essentially be the same as if you took no damage to begin with, as long as you don't take any other damage on top of it. But the one problem that you will find with running whole and reinforcement kit on this vehicle, and why I don't really recommend it as much as I do on some other vehicles, is in order to use your charge ability, you need your tracks up. So I would just recommend recovery protocol. Let's go over agent skills real quick. So for the agent, I am currently running in the first slot, 10% frontal armor. The only reason why I run this is to increase the actual damage a ramming does, because of the armor ramming damage calculations. The 15% boost energy regeneration speed, don't really think it's worth it. Not really going to take it. Second slot, I run the plus 15% to ultimate charge speed. This can kind of go anywhere, to be honest. This is just kind of where I preferentially hold it. But you could also technically take 20% duration of napalm areas left by the actual ultimate. This isn't a bad option either, just because it means that if you are like trying to block off a passage, you're just going to block off that choke point a little bit longer than if you were just using this. Either or, this is kind of your preferential on what you take, and also where you slot it into this actual activation. Third one, I ran plus 7% to energy regeneration and minus 7% to ability cooldowns, just so I can get the charge ability a little bit faster. Plus 15% to ability projectile effectiveness, including ATGM and slow applied by suppressive fire. I don't think it's worth it over just taking this. Just get your charge up a little bit sooner, have it cost a little bit less. This is like, unless like most of your shots hit on the 50 cal anyways, you're not really going to slow anyone. I think it's 10 shots need to hit from the 50 cal. With this, I think it's only 9. So, give or take, I could understand if you want to run this. I just personally don't recommend it. I actually think that there might be a bug in this, just because I haven't really noticed my last stand, but then again, that's just me. I probably would just run the Never Say Die. I'm not sure if this is bugged or not, and I'm actually just going to kind of remove it for now, just in case. But to be honest, either or doesn't really matter. Even 4 HP is just like whatever. Like 4% HP is like I think it's 100 maybe. Yeah, it's about 100 health points. So I don't really think it's worthwhile regardless. So just kind of my opinion. All right. Well, that's kind of just an overview of the tank. I do just want to kind of talk about the playstyle of the vehicle real quick before I hop into some games. So I play this vehicle like it's a flanker. I don't really charge up front. I don't fight people frontally if I can. And I think that's one of the strongest aspects of this vehicle, is getting the sides of people and stuff like that, and kind of getting the off angle, which is kind of one of the reasons why it's okay to run canister, because it's something that you're already doing in the vehicle regardless. But one thing that I noticed while playing quite a bit of games is this vehicle doesn't feel as satisfying as some of the other vehicles, because of the fact that even when you one-shot someone with a charge ability, cool, I just one-shot him. Why did I only get 150 XP, right? You don't really get that much XP from using or ramming people. It essentially acts like you just shot him one time and killed him in one shot, so it's about the standard 155 XP, 160 XP for those kills. And that does kind of make this vehicle feel like it's underperforming a lot of the time, because you're not getting the XP from those kills that I feel like you should. I think there should be a specific modifier for ramming. Maybe just for this vehicle, or maybe for this vehicle and all the vehicles in the game, because like the 287 also rams a lot, and the 287 doesn't notice it as much of a reduction, just due to the fact that the 287 also has a lot of shells at its hand in order to crit people and get bonus XP off of that. Plus, it's not really one-shotting people all that often in a 287 compared to like the M60A1, which I felt like I was able to pretty consistently almost one-tap a Leo of any sort because of how low health they have. But other than that, I would like to say, if you do like my videos, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe so that you can see future videos from me. And let's go ahead and hop into some games. So, one thing I would like to mention with the stock game is, yes, I am using the agent skills on this vehicle. I do apologize about that. It really shouldn't have been on there, but I just forgot and had already recorded the games and stuff like that. It's from me grinding out the M60A2 and having the agent skills. To be fair, I don't think they're all the same skills that I would have run on this vehicle, regardless. But otherwise, every other aspect of about this vehicle is completely stock. So, the start of this game, I capture A, kind of come up here to see if I can push any of the campers. AMX kind of shoots me in the back. He's gone. Don't know where he went. But this Leo comes around the corner. Bam. Instantly one shot. This is kind of the best part about the vehicle, is that you can just nuke some very light, squishy vehicles when they're unexpecting of it. But I'm gonna be honest, that's kind of like the biggest thing about this vehicle. I mean, the speed on the vehicle is not great. I feel like the hull and turret traverse aren't as good as they could be. Well, I don't really want to talk about the actual, 50 cal ability, because it's so bad. Like, in all honesty, it needs to be changed. Like, if I'm being honest, right, the ability is just, super weak, and it's kind of expensive as well, right? It doesn't do that much damage. The slowing effect isn't really super consistent, because you have to hit 10 shots in order to actually get the slow effect. I don't know. I wish there was a better middle ground for this ability. Also, it doesn't allow you to retarget like the minigun on the M1E1. Just all kind of sorts of things. Now, one thing that I do like about this vehicle, again, is the charge, but also the engine power means you can kind of just throw around FEs like that, which is honestly some of the funniest shit you can do in this game, is chucking defenders. Because this is like... this heavy ass FV 4030 and you just kind of yeet them into a building is the funniest thing ever in my eyes. Now, I will say, just because I don't like this ability over this vehicle overall, doesn't mean I didn't enjoy playing it. Like, it's in a weird spot, right? Like, I did have a bit of fun playing it, ramming people and stuff, but that's not all this vehicle is, right? It's not all highs. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of slowness in this vehicle. Like, you'll notice in this clip, or in this game specifically, there will be a bunch of kind of cutouts of me just driving. Like, I've completely removed those from this game because honestly, it's super boring to watch, right? There's definitely key aspects about this vehicle where you feel like, man, this vehicle is really strong. And then you have instances like this where, why does tracking my vehicle stop my charge? I don't think it should. Or at the very least, if you are going to stop my charge, can I get a refund maybe back on my actual ability so I can use it again? I'm not entirely sure. Kind of like what the best option is there for it. But I see those guys over off in the distance, and I kind of just want to come over here and ram them because really they're not going to be suspecting. Honestly, I'm surprised that not that many people were camping near the dam, but they're all kind of just camping over here. That's a weird shot right there as well. It didn't really show any armor indicator like I was going to bounce, but I guess the no armor indicator was the best indicator that I had there. And I'm kind of just going to sit up here and wait, and not too long after that, I spot this Leo kind of coming for me. I'm actually just going to drop my ultimate on the decoy so that if I do get a chance to kill him, you know, the decoy he can't swap to. I wasn't really expecting him to push me like this, so I try and come down here just to heal up, and then I'm going to go back up to him, and then I start getting chased by this M1E1. I don't want to use my charge to get away because I want to use the charge to kill the Leo, right? I noticed the Leo, he used his Feign Death ability, but he also has his secondary ability active, so I can very clearly see that he's alive. So, kill him, turn around, M1E1 is still right behind me. I'm just going to dip, see how far I can take this, right? I think that for a second that M60A1 is still alive. Nope, definitely not. I think I take a shot at this Leo. I just keep going, right? Luckily for me, this FV, who is also now chasing me, missed. And I spot this M60A1, and I'm not really thinking the angle will work out, but luckily for me, I do get launched up. But this Leo 2KST is kind of paying enough attention, kind of gets me. And we're kind of just back to going after their campers and stuff like that. I think that's the best aspect of the vehicle, is finding solo like light vehicles and just absolutely nuking them, because honestly it's kind of funny. Like just throwing an AMX because you can is, oh man, this vehicle has a lot of what I like to call goofy moments, right? There's just, I don't like, even the Object 287, ramming in the Object 287, yeah, it's a viable strategy, don't get me wrong. But there's just something so satisfying about doing 2,000 damage, or throwing an FV, or throwing an M1E1, right? There is a satisfying aspect to this vehicle, don't get me wrong. I just think, I don't know, this vehicle, like, the gun's not bad, don't get me wrong. The gun's actually pretty decent, right, overall. 4.2 second reload, and this is completely stock, and it's about 800 to 900 damage on an ammo rack crit. Right there, I spam my charge ability too fast, and I actually cancel it. I feel like this is one of the abilities that should have a hold to cancel instead of just being an instant cancel, but that's just my opinion. I think about shooting this Object 287, but he's not paying any attention to me, so I actually just want to kind of full heal. And I actually want to go back after this Leo because I noticed my charge is coming back up. I thought he was going to be up more, but it seems like he actually came to the cap to kind of stop it from being captured by our team. So I'm just going to kind of take him out here. I maybe had a chance to hit the Leo right there with a ram as well. But I don't think I would have survived if I did, in all honesty. I tracked that 2K, or 2FK, or no, that was a 2KST, my bad. It's similar names. And I kind of hide in this corner because I'm going to drop my ult on C. But I don't know if anyone else noticed the tickets, but this game is over. So even though I was in the back kind of dealing with their, you know, snipers and everything, this is kind of like one of the lackluster points of the vehicle, is because ramming damage isn't really counted in your total XP or as additional XP, and instead is just counted as a single shot. It does kind of make grinding this vehicle feel a little bit slower for doing exactly what the vehicle is supposed to do. Flank and ram people, right? But if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in the vehicle, you're just not doing it right by XP standards, right? Like I did 26,000 damage, right? Not a bad game. I had 13 kills, the most kills in that game. And like I was middle of the board with XP. This is the fully upgraded game. So in this game, I'm actually using the canister round. I kind of just wanted to show the canister round in terms of like how I use it and stuff. Honestly, it's in some situations it's not that bad, but I still just don't like canister. But I can see the power in using it on this vehicle because it does very often fit the playstyle of the vehicle of kind of just flanking around, getting behind people, kind of like at the start of this game. Like I've now completely killed 2 of their team and I'm going after this FV, and with my help my team's able to pick it up, and then there's this the HSTVL, right? I completely whiffed that first shot on the HSTVL, by the way, but regardless, we're able to kind of just completely clear everyone on their team off of this cap. And I'm kind of just going back and setting up on that flank again because I just want to kind of catch people off guard again. Now, obviously, they're going to be paying a little bit more attention. Now, I feel like that ram there should have done like 1,000 damage. But now you're kind of seeing the issue with canister, right? He slightly angles. I can't penetrate his side anymore. Can't do much, but also in the same moment, the strengths. I get the rear of an M60A1. Boom, just gone, annihilated in 2 shots. Like, what was he supposed to do there? This is kind of like the best aspect of using the ult. It's like the best case scenario, having a choke point where you know people are going to be. I'm able to hit 4 people with my ultimate. I pick up 1 kill, and this is the major downside of canister. He turns his vehicle towards me. There's not really much I can do. I try to push him to his side so I can get a side. I give up. I try to shoot the M3E1. I can't penetrate him at this angle, so I go for the HSTVL. It's kind of all I can do. I'm not really aiming properly in that shot too. I could have definitely done more damage, but honestly, my bad. Here, I'm just setting up to see if I can catch anyone that kind of flanks. This M60A2 shoots me, and I'm kind of expecting him to actually go for me, but he doesn't. So I'm just going to kind of chase him up here and see if I can clear him off and kind of like fight their team after clearing the M60. So, able to do decent chunk of change to him there. He actually lives with 1 HP. I think that's just his relentless passive being active because it was just 1 damage. And so we're able to finish him off. Absolutely smack this leopard. Right? I mean, it still takes 2 shots in a ram to kill him, but not bad all things considered. Weirdly enough, like, you'd feel like the canister would be way more effective against the HSTVL and stuff, but because of the angles, even frontally, it's not like... I mean, frontally, it's much better than trying to fight anything else frontally with canister. But I think I actually would prefer just to have the AP so that I could guarantee those crit damages on the front of the HSTVL, but that's just my opinion. This is also, again, I can't even pin the side of an FE430 turret. Now, I realize this, and I'm going to actually be aiming for the cupola, because there is that thin strip that you can kind of just penetrate. What I go for, you notice I get some penetrations off on it, And I'm just going to try and block off this choke point again. Kind of keep this secure and everything like that. Most of this game that I want to show off is kind of just like the strengths of like also this bonus HP. Like that healing kind of allows me to get more shots in. Now I obviously very much whiffed those shots into the M3E1. I actually probably could have won the situation if I aimed better, but honestly, my mistake. And yeah, just gonna kind of finish this off, but we do lose this first round. And I'm gonna be completely honest, we do kind of like completely lose this game too. I hate this one thing with the canister, right, is when you're behind, you definitely feel it because you can't be as efficient on the flanks. Like when your team is losing, even though I have 2 people like on the flanks and stuff, right, almost all the time, it's not enough, right? Also, this is kind of what I was saying, like I ricochet like half those shots off the HSTVL. I don't feel like I should, but that's just kind of how it is. But yep, we completely lose the second round too. I don't really do that much more damage after that end of the clip. I mean, I kind of fumbled the bag too myself, but I will say canister rounds pretty good for getting score, won't lie. But thank you again for watching. I hope you have a good one. Goodbye.